All right. And begin.
To call the meeting to order, 4:30. Five. First thing on our agenda, public participation.
Today, thank you.
Let's call it in. Yeah, sorry, Roy. Okay. Second thing on our agenda is approval of the April 6th minutes. So move. Favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Passes. Plant status report.
Okay. I've been talking to IMA. No. Yeah, these are some of the other things. I don't have a copy of the agenda. Printed from there, all the constitution. Okay, so overall, April was just a very good month. Operation was normal. As far as our production was, we had actually it was a pretty good month. We produced the average production rate was 11.46 million gallons per day. With plant effluent, and which means that we have a total plant production of 355 million gallons. This was actually a 5.29% decrease from March, which is great. And it was a 5% decrease from April of last year. So I thought that was a really good number to see. So we are seeing a reduction. What that's from yet, I'm not sure. But either way, it's a good thing. So hopefully that trend continues. As far as things that happened here at the plant, like I said, overall, there were no major issues to report. We are currently preparing for the low lift pump number 2 to be removed and rebuilt. That pump, if you remember correctly, last summer we were having an issue with it. It was whipping, but then we had one go down completely, so we were never able to send out the one that was whipping. We were just basically able to hold it together all year, thanks to our amazing mates. So that is getting done this year. And now we're currently in the process of looking at ways to deal with the temperature in the ozone building with the summer coming up. The ozone generators, when the water gets really warm, tend to overheat and cause plant shutdowns because the ozone generators will stop. The water is too warm, and the current cooling system that's there in place isn't enough for to keep the water cool. So they overheat. So we're looking at ways that we can address that for the summer and beyond. So we'll probably have another temporary fix for this year, but as we move into the future, we're going to need to find something that's more of a permanent solution.
Right now we see like 80, 81, 82, somewhere around there.
Yeah, so
sometime.
So in 2024, the temperature was the highest we've had, and it was 84 degrees. So you're not cooling anything but 80 degree water. Yeah, so we need to find a way to get that water cool, but yet we can't get it too cold because then we can cause condensation within the units and cause other problems. So finding something that's going to cool the temperature to the right amount is important. We've been using a makeshift dry ice configuration. Dry ice is pretty expensive too, so we're currently in the process of trying to find a chiller that might be a better option for us. But what that means, what size that is, that's a whole big
Remains to be determined.
Yeah, investigation that we're currently doing. So and that's pretty much it for the plant status.
Right in the operating budget there.
Yeah, so currently we're looking good right now. For the most part, we're at 33% of the year expended. Overall, we are, you might see like a line that's 100% for like water equipment that has 100% used, and that's basically because we budgeted for a specific piece of equipment that was in that line. So we've used that amount up. As I mentioned, oil, gas, electricity, those chemicals, we're still always budget lines that we're gonna be close on. I'm gonna see the gas line specifically, for now that the winter is over, hopefully we'll be able to see a reduction in the gas use there. For heating, natural gas. And, that's it.
Oh, may I ask how much would a chiller unit cost?
So we do have an item in our capital plan. We're estimating, we're not quite sure what size we're looking for and if it's something that is a I guess really it's the size, how much we need to cool the water. And we estimate, some of the things that we've been looking at, it's what, like $100,000?
Yeah,
I think we were
So thousand.
100,000.
And again, that's just a wag. You got to really investigate it,
Yeah.
design it, and so forth.
Oh,
So.
yeah, I mean, with climate change, I don't see the water getting any cooler anytime soon.
Right, so we, so we currently have some, like I said, we're looking at, trying to identify what the temperature is. We need to identify what the temperature of the water is beforehand, and then after it goes to the process, so we can see what that difference is, and then we should be able to get a better idea of how much we need to cool the water, but size it as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much involved. There's modifications,
Right,
design,
where, but
figuring when it, it's best suited to put that to use. So it's not the kind of thing you would run all year long either. So
Right.
all those things in consideration needs to be thought out.
And a question for now, but super curious. What's the temperature in the whole plant? Down there?
so in the building,
No, like underground,
like the filter, the pipe galley downstairs, yeah, the pipe galley.
well, the old, like, cause there's still portions of the old, like, filter plant, right? Like down underground.
Not that we have access to.
Oh,
We don't have, and that's Maris. Their property and it's so.
there's some pretty.
Yeah.
Run it through that, like,
Yeah.
a pipe, but.
And maybe there's some things that we can do. Definitely, I guess, a theory. Joe, I thought of that as well, going underground somehow and geothermals.
Yeah, I'm with
Yeah.
you.
So, but I guess ultimately we'll have to see what kind of change we need. If,
Yeah, if you're on target temperature, that's the biggest.
Yeah, underground. But you gotta have the exposure.
You got the
time.
volume, you wouldn't travel through stuff.
Yeah.
So that's the retention of that.
Yeah,
That's cool. Yeah.
yeah, picture. Chiller. Spiral. Alright, so, engineering section.
So ultimately, any other questions about our current operating budget? All right,
On the 4A, audit engagement letter from Bondeo and Company.
yes, so Karen, would you like to, Karen, the city finance here.
So we've used Fundio and as our auditors for joint water, and we'd like to do that again. They're familiar with our, so we do have their proposal. And we'd like to see it. I think Dottie had already also included it. It was,
Oh, no, yes.
I have it already.
So I guess, if the board's going to move forward using one idea, we should probably take a vote on that. Then.
It's the 26,000.
yes,
They're the ones that did all the past,
yes.
right? They got us off to date in a pretty quick amount of time. So. I don't see a reason not to.
So they I mean, where they go,
So I think
Steve, where do we keep all the books?
What do you mean? Sorry.
Where do we keep the books? I mean, Poughkeepsie, the city keeps the finance, right?
City is the financial, advisor, I guess.
They do all the administration.
Okay.
So they pay all the bills, they do it. So
So the auditor come to,
that,
yeah, okay.
I'll make a motion to, so move. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Second.
Chris Chen, myself, other one,
Second doesn't matter.
thank you, Doreen.
And so, okay, so Chris,
Chris is the official second. Yeah.
okay.
All in favor? All opposed? So who then executes this, Karen? The chair of the board?
Yes.
There's no about that. Even though Chris hasn't given you the official seat. Yeah, he looks good sitting there.
He shows up first. You choose wisely.
Okay, 2027 capital budget presentation.
Okay, so I have here, just so you know, Brian Morris, he is our maintenance supervisor. I brought him along just in case anybody had any questions about this capital plan. This is. I have an extra copies now. So this is our 5-year capital plan. Over the years, capital planning has been unique. Each year is a little different. Some misunderstandings, some assumptions have been made. So we'd like to continue to improve this process going forward. Seeing that we have the comprehensive facility plan coming up, some of this stuff may change going forward, but what I've asked Brian, most of this stuff is for maintenance. What I've asked him to do is look at the next 5 years, put off some of the things that we think could potentially be affected with a comprehensive plan, and look at what absolutely needs to get done for the next over the next year or so. So there's the list of 2027. We have separated out the building structured items. And then there's things, the process equipment, which includes valves and pumps stuff. These are all larger ticket items that normally would not go into they're large ticket items, anything that's like $10,000 or more, or multiples of that would add up to that $10,000. One of the things that has become an issue over the years is how these items get funded, whether they get strictly put into a capital plan that would get borrowed for versus putting those items into our operating budget. So what I like to do from this point forward is when the board looks at this, they approve it, and then we talk to Karen and Manal about how those things actually do get funded, whether they get put into a capital plan, for borrowing, or if they'll be added to our operating budget when we do that next year. One of the issues then this way, we'll know that the operating budget will be increased by X number of dollars because we have those items in there. Oftentimes what would happen is Randy would go with an operating budget that included a lot of these things, and then the budget would get adjusted because there was an explanation or understanding of all of these items that we're going to put in there. That's where kind of the explanation that I have for that. Not sure if I should go line by line with this, how you guys would like me to do this, or if just want to generally look at it and have questions here. I don't know what's normal for a presentation.
This year's capital budget was ended up being like 600 something thousand, right? Something like that. Next year, give or take, somewhere around there.
Yes.
So now obviously it goes to 48-54 split. Yeah. So the next year, looking at 1.3, 2028 is 984, then 2 point, almost like 2.1 in 2029. Just using the bottom, I'm just kind of going across the
Yes.
totals.
Yeah.
So that's why. And then 2031, or it should be 2030, we're almost 800,000. And 2031, just under 450,000. So a couple big years out of this.
Yes, and yes, like I said, some of that too could be very much affected by what happens with the
Right.
comprehensive plan. So some of these items, like there's valves down in the low lift that have to be addressed, but we may need to rebuild the low lift if we have to increase capacity. So in that case, we could potentially lump that sum into.
Are they looking at this? The engineers that we choose, are they looking at our capital plan, 5-year look ahead?
I think so. I think that's part of it.
Yeah, we would
So-
provide them.
Right, like,
Absolutely.
because this could be completely different based on,
Well, and there are things gonna take a year and a half or so to do also.
Yeah, so we were looking at it as right now, what
So
are the
you're
things
you're
that
into, you know,
we truly need to
28,
address?
by the time that comes back anyway.
right,
Which I think makes complete sense to identify those things, yeah, where you are to where you are in.
But a lot of things might be identified in that phase 1 too. Yeah.
Mhm.
right, but that's 2028 stuff. So stuff that's 2027, which is immediate needs,
Yeah,
we're just shooting blind right now.
water's still gotta flow.
No, I'm just
Yeah.
saying that they're not
Well, you
gonna look at it before they spend.
But thankfully, we're not doing something like we are in 29 with the plate settler replacement now, because that could be.
You're right.
And that's the biggest price tag. That accounts for the $1 million jump there from 8 to 9. I don't even know what it does, but it costs $1 million.
Would you like to explain what they do? Just because I think it's important that we do know what we're investing in.
And maybe, sure, and then also their useful lifespan as well, and whether or not why 29 and not 27 or 30.
Mhm. I mean, we're definitely at this like
Yeah, it's that
point.
juncture.
Oh,
There you go.
yeah, some of the stuff here is from the 60s, some of it's from the 80s, depending on which,
1988 original install.
rebuild, we're talking about, but
That's what it says. Yeah.
we're at the point where things have to.
Installed in 88. Super. 88. Yeah, right.
I did add in,
It's just
if
lifetime.
so underneath the other, I did add an additional $200,000 into the comprehensive plan, only because I was worried that some additional things might come from that, initial plan that we may need to spend potentially some more. So I wanted to just include the potential that there may be something else that we want to look at.
Definitely lot to chew on. Capital plans are good because it lays it all out. Yeah. Yeah. You need to have it. This stuff's not small, small ticket items, Any more questions on? Concerns?
Okay, so I don't know, but I think just to be on the safe side, if you're okay with me moving forward and talking with finance about funding, I think having a vote on record would be good. So,
Does everybody want to vote on it? You want to have time to go through it and think about it and talk about it next month?
so the only reason I do ask, I did bring this up quickly was because the town is trying to get their
Capital plan.
capital plan together, so they do have a copy of this, whether it's not in the board, I don't know if that matters, but I'm just letting you know that they are trying to get their stuff too. I'd like to-
Man, I don't care what the town's doing.
All right. Can we get a motion to accept the 2027 capital budget, which takes us out to year 2031, I believe, please? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Motion passes. You deliver it to the next group of people that's gotta go to.
So we'll set a meeting up and we'll try to be much more cohesive on how we fund. Our consumer vote. Great, thank you very much.
Number 6, old business. Engineering update.
So Erin,
Quickly with the filter, we've received comments back from Department of Health. They were very minor and we're probably this week responding, but we've slowed down a little bit. And it's a priority because we're not able to get all the data together to close on the funding for this most recent opportunity. So we're probably gonna be able to close on funding in late September, early October was the date that EFC gave to us. So by that time, we'll be able to have gotten Department of Health approval to go out to bid. We can time it really nicely to go out to bid. So we'll have the bid numbers that will be accurate when they're ready to close. So
Can we do the work in the winter? Does winter prevent us from doing the work?
Since I wrote it. It seems not that easy.
Yeah.
No, it's just.
I mean, in general, winter is well, previously it was. Yeah,
yeah, the winter it is a low demand on something like that. Just logistics of the work, but it's, yeah. Storages.
I don't even know.
Well, we have to
Gonna
put
stay here. And also,
winter conditions in the bid then.
yeah, but it's in the building. So
You
they,
still got stuff outside your storing, whatever.
They got their stores, they got cloud their store staging area, yeah. Who's responsible for all that stuff that typically gets change order because nobody thought about it?
well, we'll be really specific about that. That's fine.
Yeah, if you put this, like, hey, we expect this work to be done in the winter, like, that's a,
Yeah, you provide the accommodations you need.
right.
I mean, some other things happened in the summer last year that shall go remain nameless because they're not gonna happen this summer, right? But should they, we definitely would want to be a filter test. So it might be the most advantageous time to be doing this. None of those things are gonna happen,
Right.
but if they did, we'd be telling the contractor, I'm sorry, you want to take our filter. So from looking at it that way, it's.
I'm just, as long as it's in the
But
bid,
it's a
that
really
they
good
know.
point to make sure that it is identified that.
You're doing this in the winter. Yep. Understood.
Comprehensive facility plan.
Do you want to talk about it or?
Wait, so, I provided a general update via email to the board members. So that has the specific timelines. An RFQ was issued that was looking at specifically the responses. I think everyone's seen the actual text of the RFQ many times. We received 3 proposals in response to that, which the committee scored. The committee being Chris, Tom, our former operator Randy, everyone knows Dottie, and I was on the committee as well. Based on the scores, 2 of those proposals were elevated to an interview stage. The interviews were held and then additional scoring was completed. An engineer was identified and the committee moved to the next stage as far as discussing price. And the proposal was made, suggested by the engineers, and I think we all agreed as a committee that so much of the first phase can impact the second phase, that there appeared to be an opportunity for cost savings if we authorize the first phase, because that's where the topic that was, talked about at this board level. What is the future flow? What is the explanation for its increase? And how are we forecasting that, and how confident do we all feel on that? And having that number matters so much then to their next phases, because this footprints if this footprint's completely acceptable to achieve those needs, then they don't need to be doing the whole parcel search and things along those lines. So, so Hazen and Sawyer is the engineer that the committee's identified. The first phase includes all their project management costs as well as understanding the flows and doing the significant work of the stakeholder identification and working with stakeholders. So I'm just speaking for the committee. The recommendation is to award this. And we had asked Dylan to prepare a resolution awarding it to that engineer so they can start doing the hard work.
So I did include being with everybody's
Yep.
resolution with today's materials.
And the format we're recommending is use also for, but it's specific scope for the first phase. And then in general, it's a not to exceed, so they can come back with how they're gonna approach the second phase, but it doesn't need to go through a full contract award. It's just already covered by the not to exceed of the total value. So makes it much better streamlined to go through authorizing that contract once, but then they can't proceed to any future phases until that scope comes back to this board. We say yes, good scope, and then they can have the ability to proceed with a later phase. So good control, but also not have to go through the contract process.
So I guess we should have a vote on awarding Hazen Sawyer.
Is there any questions on this at all? Discussion?
Most of the committees here, but just from my perspective, there was a large amount of time spent.
Yeah.
You know, really dedicated the review. We really documented from a scoring perspective how everyone did. So it was a very good process as far as level of professionalism by everybody who participated.
Like, so my question is, you know, are they gonna present to us in the very end, or, you know, and there are milestones?
Many presentations, yes,
Okay.
and they intend to be both remote progress, but then in here in person for these key things to be speaking to the board, and they understood that that was important. So
Good.
they really prioritize that. The two leaders of the project, one's coming from just the Albany, Saratoga area, the other's from New York, and they both seem to enjoy taking the train here. So and had a good level of, definitely a comforting level of familiarity with the every aspect that we're interested in here. So
Okay. You can make a motion to award this to Hazen Sawyer for phase one.
Second. or
for
just
No.
flip it,
Or-
yeah.
the total not to exceed contract,
Yeah, I was working my way.
sorry,
For total not to exceed $500,000, for phase one's not to exceed $275,000.
Yeah.
So. Somebody says something. Second.
Two town people.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, which passes. Okay. Okay. Who did their homework? 6B, draft IMA review. Who did their homework?
I did it.
Who kicked the can down the road?
So this is written here as if this is gonna be what we vote on and we pass, right? Like this is written in today's voice. Yes, it's not extrapolated, this is like, and we are doing this, that, that's how I'm reading it.
Yes,
Okay.
so I believe the part you read was the recital part.
Yeah.
Which included the history, I think there's a part on definitions that I think that we have not done yet, to see what comes out of the final documents. And then the third part, I forget, was, scope of the project.
Right.
And then I'm hopeful that next time we're getting to the, the responsibilities of the various parties about, the joint board, the water plant administrator, the business administrator, the city staff.
Bill, if you'd like to come to join us.
So, Chair.
Yeah.
So I haven't prepared anything really. I was hoping there'd be some questions that came out of this and that I could answer or get you an answer.
That was pretty straightforward.
Yeah,
I just didn't know if this was.
I think it's pretty straightforward,
It is.
yeah. You know, the history, I think you all know, the city used to own the plant. The town wanted to buy into the process. This plant at the time, I think, had a capacity of 16 million gallons a day. The city said it needed 10.66 million, I believe, and the town would have to buy the other 5.33. And then if a plant expansion was required, the town would fund that up to, it actually went to $21 million. 21 million gallons a day was the original plan if the fourth train was added, which it didn't have. And that kind of is the reason the city and the town have different capacities. City ended up still with 10.66 and the town ended up with 8.66, I think, which was the 5.33 they had to buy in. And what they got by funding the original plan improvements, plan expansion. There was a long history of association. The town often bought water from the city beginning, I think in the 1970s. I actually have a chart that shows it goes back to 1941, where there was an area, a small area of the town that purchased water from the city. I was interested in that because I grew up in that development.
Yeah.
We
bunch of it where
always had town water.
it was fed from the city to the town, you know, its own little areas, including Dutch Community College.
Yeah, I think the scope of the project is clear. You know, in writing the document, we had envisioned hopefully sometime 50, 100 years from now that the joint water project become a regional asset to everybody in the county. So obviously, it's a number of small water districts. That's kind of not very cost effective for residents outside the city and the town. There's been pollution and contamination problems in those areas from what I've heard.
Listen, I know it wasn't an easy process. I know you and the working group have been working really hard on this for quite some time. It exceeded expectations on my end, Bill. So, you know, thank you for that. It is pretty straightforward. And I think, you know, to Tom's point, it's now it's up to us to take some action.
Yeah.
Right. And I think the way the introduction to it all was very good. You know, just the hard questions of it all, the ownership, this and that, like those are all things you got to dig into, and really all those are very like they're their own conversation itself.
Yeah, we felt like they were things that were not the purview of the IMA committee, but we wanted to point them out to the board going forward that these could be problems, you know, not problems, but they're issues going forward. Third-party water sales is another one. And, you know, the allocation of costs, we wanted to try to tweak that a little bit. Capital plan puts into that.
You know, how it's written, it's a lot of work. You can tell, like, you guys.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, yeah, for sure. I was like, this is written in, like, as if, like, here's the new plan, like, we're doing
an old building.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Absolutely. Good work.
So I hope that moving forward, we can get into the individual responsibilities and we can talk about those and, you know, question those and, we kick them around at length, every one of them, I assure you.
I think we need to, and I think that what we should do to allow for that to happen is to have specific topics of discussion for the next several meetings, whether or not we form a subcommittee or not. I'm open to either option, but that or we spend a couple hours one day and we work on those topics as a group, right? Rather than have a committee of it. There's only a couple of us anyway to hash through these things and see what makes sense on every angle, right? To the best
decision goes forward
Yeah.
back to the city and the town.
I agree. I actually think that's probably the better of the two approaches, and we could, either commit to doing that as a group or form a committee to then do it and then present to the board, but I think without some specific timelines and accountabilities.
Yeah, you get lost.
Won't move forward. So I'd be happy to represent the city. I'm sure that we could have additional support staff from the city to assist as well too. And I don't know if anyone from the town wishes to participate actively, or if we do it as a group. I think figuring out that next step is what could be important to someone from this meeting today. So.
All right, what's quiet? Well, I have no problem being for the town. Do you want
No,
to? Okay. And how we, yeah. All right.
I think I'll make a motion for the four on this side of the table. Yeah.
Okay.
We can meet, we'll come back, we can report back to the board, and I think we go.
Okay. The
There wasn't,
No, I was gonna ask, so since it's a you, then it's considered a meeting, so you're gonna have special meetings?
We can, I mean, we can hold a main meeting if it's, right? I mean, are we not able to do that and then?
no, we're able to if we want.
Dylan?
Yeah.
Yeah, so can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Dylan.
Okay, I wasn't sure if I could unmute or not. Yeah, so you'd have to do a special meeting that would be noticed. I'd have to look at the bylaws to see if it's 510 or some other notice provision, but that would be the way to do it. It's just a special meeting open to the public. If there's any additional documents, there would just be an agenda and you'd put the documents into that agenda packet. But it is doable if you want to have a quorum, it's just pretty simple procedure on that front.
Or you can just back it down to 3.
Three could potentially be an interesting. Well, regardless, it's either going to be a considerable time, crunch for one or two meetings, or an hour or two every week or so until we get it done. My preference would be to meet once or twice or 3 times and hammer it all out instead of over the course of the remainder of the year.
Right, no, I agree, because if it drags on, you forget stuff and stuff like that, and it just take too long.
Just so you know, it looks like the current bylaws state that notice of meetings must be at least 2 days prior to the time set.
Can we have the meeting at 3:30 before our meeting and just call that meeting, to say the next water board meeting is gonna start at 3:30?
I was thinking that, but then the problem though then becomes, okay, so it's just an hour, the next couple of months we're meeting only for an hour. I don't know. I think
I don't know how long it's gonna take either, like,
Yeah.
And also too, like, some of these questions in here might involve more than just us discussing also.
right.
So, the town supervisor might want to be involved with stuff, the finance might, they might have their stuff to put in there. So, I mean, you might need some different players in the game to advise, or it just information in general that would better suit this
I agree completely.
big scale of it. So,
I agree completely.
So, like the time of week, you could generally meet. And then Dylan put out one ad that says,
That might get
Every-
really tricky.
well, just one, and then if you're gonna cancel, you can just cancel it. But then he's advertised like the whole series of every Tuesday at this time, there's a special meeting until further notice. Like, could that make it simpler for him to notice it?
It could, Chris's option could be interesting too. The other question I had was more so for Dylan. So if in fact we have a quorum that forms this committee is a quorum then needed to move forward. Would all members needed, they would need to be there in order for the meeting to actually commence, whereas if we had, I don't know,
Somebody didn't show.
yeah, like if someone didn't show, then
Right.
the
You
meeting
can't
may
have
not
a
be
meeting.
able to move forward.
Yeah, that would be the risk you run with the quorum and doing the special meeting is that it's now been noticed and it's a formal meeting that requires a quorum. So, I mean, it certainly could be problematic, and that would be the only piece that might give me a little pause about doing the notice altogether. Because, 1 week, Tuesday might work, another, 3 weeks pass and it might be a Monday. So if you just notice it, the 2 days prior to the meeting, that's going to give you a little bit more flexibility to get everyone on board.
We're still here.
Right.
That's probably the best idea of it all.
Yes.
Yeah. So basically, if we start the meetings an hour earlier, that way, if we run late, we just roll into our meeting. And then it'd be televised, it'd be all the same, but we start at 3:30 to work on this.
And the first item is,
Yeah, and we spend time working on this, going back and forth, and then we can have whoever's necessary to be here. Say, we're gonna be working on topic 1. All right, you should be here, you should be here. Okay, great. And then we roll into our normal meeting when we find kind of conclusions.
And in order to move forward, we would only need a majority of the 4 people to be present for that meeting, right?
Oh, if we were all, yeah.
Right.
Just like a regular meeting.
Right. So one or two of us couldn't make it, that's okay, and then we would be here an hour later for the actual board meeting. So,
I think, Dylan, did you hear that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely a sensible approach. And then Dottie, I guess on the notice end, just on like the website agenda and all of that goes out.
Yeah.
I would just, make sure to amend the time so the public knows that the meeting starts an hour early. And you'd be good to go at that point. And it also theoretically works if someone on the committee can't make the meeting, someone else can show up and kind of take their seat. And that gives the flexibility, to have stakeholders there if needed. That would be the only piece where it might make sense to have a work group is, if you're having stakeholders, finance, and you're talking, somewhat privileged information on that front, you might want to have more of a working group where it's not public, but that would be the only, piece on that end. But, certainly each, if there's 2 members from the city, 2 from the town, the discussions could be brought to, finance, stakeholders, et cetera, and outside of the discussions that are occurring in a quorum. I mean, there's, a few ways to slice that potential problem.
yeah, able all sensitive information. Right. We can start getting into something. We just say, okay, let's stop this.
Yeah.
I'll call you tomorrow. Okay.
But for the most part, then we'd still have a little more meeting quorum, everybody being here starting an hour earlier.
Yeah.
So in that way, and then plus whatever guest stars you need, well, for the topics, like, whatever we gotta do.
So this will be starting.
I'll just make sure.
June meeting, buddy.
It gets on June 1st.
Yeah, I'm good for that.
3:30 instead. Okay.
And I would recommend if you feel that someone should be there from the city or the town. For, obviously starting with ownership. So it means whoever would need to be at that part, we would want. Or we could jump around and say, hey, do we want to jump around or we just want to start with number 1? I guess that's the question.
I think just start with number 1.
Okay, I just want to say, let's go to 3 and then we'll go back to 1.
If
Okay.
I can interject, this is actually not part of the IMA. It's a separate memo to the board pointing out issues that we think that may arise.
And that's what we're going through.
Okay.
Am I correct on that?
Yes.
We're gonna go through your your points that are,
Yeah, okay.
you know, of interest to figure out a resolution to them. Because that's gonna in turn affect the IMA.
Yes.
It's whatever comes out of those. Kind of.
I guess some of it could. I don't know that everything has to. I don't know I don't know that it was intended that those problems have to be solved before the IMA becomes effective. It was mainly to highlight to this board and future boards issues that may have arisen and how they, a little bit of background as to how they arose, I guess.
Well, regardless, of the end of the day, there's still issues
Okay.
that are there.
Yeah, it's
That now's the time to kind of dig through them before we make this new law, basically, of the way everyone plays in the sandbox.
Okay.
Right?
Yep.
I think that makes sense. And maybe, we obviously can discuss it, but a way to kind of treat the cover letter moving forward, attack what makes sense right now that can be handled, but anything else, maybe append it to the final IMA as an appendix. And it's like notes from drafters or something to that effect. So, in 10 years, if they're looking at it, they can say, okay, this was the intent and these were the issues. And kind of have a crumb, cookie trail to figure those issues out and know where to look.
Okay.
I do also want to point out some of this stuff may also be addressed in some fashion with the comprehensive facility plan as well. So that'll be another piece of the also.
So when we get to like each section, then we'll have to have someone from Hayes and Sawyer here for a section of that. I don't, maybe as we come through them sections that are,
Discussion.
then once we get through all that stuff, then I guess we would just kind of, if anyone on the board found something in the actual IMA, the way it's written, that they felt had to come up out of its own thing, right?
Yeah.
And at the end of that, then we'd have finished product.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
At that point, then we go back to the city and town.
Yes. Right. Right.
Procedure goes, just of how long it goes, one of the other comments from them was figuring out based on the stakeholders, really what your plan is before then doing an analysis of agreement and structure. So that just might be from the way their scope is, maybe cart before the horse, depending on your timeline for addressing these issues.
I mean, got a couple months if we can get through one a meeting.
One a meeting.
Unless we moved along quicker, okay, well, we got that solved on the next one. It's kind of got to see what.
Just keep working through it as if nothing is gonna happen anyway. So I feel like that's kind of the approach, like we don't know what that comprehensive facility plan is gonna do, so we just keep moving forward so that we're not stalled and we just,
Right.
keep making progress.
Because they're going to review this end thing regardless. And it should be completed within the span of what it's going to take to do that comprehensive study. I hope it wouldn't take us a year and a half to get through this.
Right.
No, I'm hoping to get done with this in 5 months or so, or 6 months or something, conceivably.
At the fall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Timelines.
Great. And then. So we're on schedule for June 1st to start our meeting at 3:30 to begin with review of the IMA, and then we'll move on to our regularly scheduled meeting at 4:30.
Yeah, great.
Excellent.
Does anybody else have anything else? Get a motion to end the meeting?
So you.
All in favor?
Aye.
That was a marathon.
Awesome. Good.
Yeah.
What's the time? 1:50.
Karen.
Yeah.
Oh my God, yesterday?